Hello everyone and welcome to the second day of our online IBC. Today we are talking about the product announcements and use cases of our management and workflow partners. Today with me is Oliver. Hello Oliver.
Hi Marina.
Oliver is the managing director and co-founder of the Flowworks company who is producing the media set management software and many other tools around that. So recently Flowworks presented some new features in their software and also got some new customers they can talk about. So we are here to discuss these topics. But before we go into details, Oliver, can you quickly introduce your company? What exactly Flowworks does?
Well, hi everybody. First of all, sad to not see you live in Amsterdam, but better to see you here than not at all. What does Flowworks do? Well, we're a software producer. We're in the area of media, and that's quite a wide area that we cover. So classically, we are a media asset management or digital asset management system, but we are also a workflow system, a device integrator, and last but not least, we have a very strong suite of products for publishing and content monetization. So what we really do is we handle the entire life cycle of media content, from inception through production, post-production, archiving and owning content, taking editorial decisions to go and either share or go publish content, sell it online or post it on a VOD platform of your own or a third party, put it on your TV channel, put it on social media, etc., etc. So basically, we're all about media and everything you can do with media.
Okay. So what are the typical customers? Maybe you can name some of them. Who's using your software and for what purposes exactly?
Yeah. Well, as I said, we cover quite a wide area. So it really starts with production houses, post-production facilities. We have a number of big broadcasters as customers. We have advertising agencies. We have industrial companies. You're seeing Porsche, which is one of our big customers. We have institutions such as universities or national archives, libraries, etc., etc. So we really cover all types of media and any kind of context that people have media in or use media. In a nutshell, we really do two things. We help you save time and money, and we help you make money with media. And that's irrespective of whether media is your business, i.e. you're a producer or broadcaster, or whether media facilitates your business. Let's say you're an industrial or an advertising agency. So there's all kinds of ways of looking at the same system and making use of the same system. Just to give you an idea of, since we've got Porsche up here on the screen, to give you an idea of what we're doing there with the central media archive, so to speak. But that, even though that sounds so passive, it's actually super active because it means that every piece of media that Porsche produces worldwide, no matter in what context, will actually go into our system. Using multiple routes into the system. Within the system, you'll have different types of groups, obviously different types of contents. The sales guys, the marketing guys, the PR guys, the corporate people, they all sort of have their own tenant groups in the system. They manage their content, they ingest it, they add the metadata, they create compilations and projects, they share that internally, and of course also internationally. But then at the other end, and that's the important bit for Porsche, it goes out to a number of playout channels that Porsche operates. So you'll know the websites, obviously. There's a bunch of sites for public relations and press work. But we're now just busy integrating their apps as well. They're building a new one, so all the content in that app will actually come from us, meaning the app is going to be very nice packaging. Everything you get to see in the app will actually come from our system. So it summarizes quite well what we do, and it kind of goes towards the point, we help you save money and make money.
Okay, sounds great. It means so like any company who's having a large amount of media, any for internal use or external use, can use your system to manage it internally or to sell it to someone else. So it looks like many use cases you can cover. Okay, so let's go to my questions and to the news that you are prepared for this session. I heard you are planning to launch a service that will be the world first. What is it about?
Well, it's, we're good at producing world firsts. It's a very simple thought. A classic MAM system, runs on a server and needs to be installed. It's quite a complex piece of kit, and that means it's also not very cheap. Now, FlowWax, you can either buy the system, buy the licenses and install it on your own servers, or you can run it as a rented service, either in the cloud or in a dedicated hosting environment. But the Flow Center really comes in all shapes and sizes. And picking up on sizes, that's really what we're trying to do next. Now, what we've built, and you can see it here on the screen, Victor is kindly scrolling through the site really slowly. Just stop there, Victor. What we actually built is a Flow Center version that runs directly on a NAS. So you don't need a server anymore. You don't need cloud storage anymore. The Flow Center includes so many functions and services that you probably will not need very many additional cloud-based services such as collaboration services. You certainly won't need transcoding anymore. You won't be paying for the cloud service when you're doing a little bit of play out. You won't be doing it when you won't be paying for cloud storage when you're doing collaboration, because that Flow Center actually runs on your NAS. So let's say you've got a QNAP or a Synology or a Western Digital piece of kit. The modern versions of those will typically already have CPU, some even GPU power, and we've squeezed our Flow Center to go run on that box. The box that you already have. That really is a world first, because we're the only MAM system to be able to do that. And that's going to be very exciting, because it allows us to suddenly talk to a lot of customers for whom a MAM would typically be too expensive. They wouldn't want to go and buy an additional server. They wouldn't want to administrate that, because maybe it's a very small company. Maybe it's 5 guys in 2 editing suites doing virals for industrial clients of theirs. Maybe it's people doing events. Maybe you're a blogger. The possibilities are endless. The people that we really want to reach all the way to are the people, who do work semi-professionally. They might even have 4K cameras. My Handy does 4K, no problem. But they're storing it somewhere, and they're not storing it online because that's too expensive. So they went off and bought themselves a NAS system. Or looking to buy a NAS system, and that's really where we want to hook in, and that's the market that we're going to start talking to. A very big market, obviously, lots and lots of different players, each of them quite small, I guess. But that's going to be very exciting, and we're about to launch it, so you're previewing the website a little bit there. That's still top secret, of course, but I couldn't hold back and wanted to tell you about it today.
That's great. We are the first one to talk about this feature.
Yeah, very fast to find out. We haven't told anybody.
Yeah, but it sounds very impressive. I mean, nowadays, so many people own smaller devices, produce content, not only the big production houses as was in the past. I believe, it will be the high demand of such a system. What is the pricing model about that? How do you purchase
the pricing is it's a very online business model, so it's going to be rent only. You can, of course, always come to us and buy a Flow Center. We don't mind that. But the Flow app, as we're calling it, is a rental only. So you simply go on the site. You figure out that you like it and what you like about it, and then there's a shop integrated. We're currently completing that. And in the shop, you can really pick a different size. So it starts very small, it starts very cheap. I'm not going to tell you about the price just yet, because we're not quite sure yet. But it's got to be surprisingly affordable. because we really want to make a splash in the market. And it's probably going to upset people, but that's good for us because we like rocking the boat a little bit.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. We also like to do that. Yeah. Okay. Nice news. I think we will talk about that more, and you will talk about that more on your website, and we will also let our customers know about these new features in social media. So let's go to your second news. Tell us about your system working in German National Film Archive. Is it a new project for you, or what happened there? What are the news?
Yeah, it's good. It's great news because it's taken a long time to get them to actually sign, because it's a national institution. You know, institutions tend to be very, very careful in making their selections, and it does take a long time. And they wrote an extremely big document for us to answer, but we're very pleased and honored to have won the deal. And the really interesting thing about the National Archive, because archive always sounds, you know, like you're putting in stuff and it just stays there and it just sits there. The interesting thing about the National Film Archive in Germany is, and Victor's just showing the screen there as well, that we're really using the system to its full extent. So we're really going wall to wall. It's all about creating the content, because it's not just that they're ingesting films, let's say, or TV programs, but they're also doing versions. So they're translating stuff, for example. They're adding subtitles. They're adding all sorts of AI-based information. And that needs to be managed. So we're doing that in the system. You can sort of imagine that in a very big environment like a National Film Archive. The management, you know, there's all sorts of groups and people do particular single steps. So orchestrating that whole process, not just of ingesting, but then also outgesting stuff, is quite complex. There are many rights to be looked after and to take taken account of. And then, of course, we go and share the content. And that, in the case of this national institution, is they have a mandate to actually show the world what the Film Archive in Germany actually has to offer. And they don't just put it on a website, but they want you to go and buy content. You may want to rent even a physical reel or a CD, a DVD. They've got everything. They've got tapes. So we're covering all of that. And of course, we're going to end up putting it in their own VOD platform, which we'll also build. So we're really going all the way from creation to monetization in a single customer. It's probably going to take a while to build the whole thing up, because we've just started it off right now. But it's a very exciting project, because it shows to you, and it will show to obviously our other customers, how you can really save money and make money with the same system. And that's really what we're about. So we're very pleased to show it in such a big and quite prestigious environment like the National Film Archive in Germany.
Yeah, I believe there will be a high demand of the content from German National Archive, and when you build such a system, the content will be easy accessible and manageable, and not only for internally for the staff who's working in archive, but also for the ones who can watch it. I believe if you are talking about the VOD system, does it mean that you can watch some videos on the website, like not buy it, but also just watch, like for me, like a private person?
You'll be able to watch certain features because they do have a mandate, as I say. I mean, it's state finance, so they have a mandate to actually push this stuff out. But going beyond that, because they've got such a large amount of content, it does make absolute sense for them to either offer as a pay service a VOD platform, because they've got content that absolutely nobody else has.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Hollywood blockbusters, but we're talking about totally unique documentaries, some old films, stuff that goes back a while, perhaps, or that didn't make the silver screen because it was, it's just addressed as a small audience, but there's money in a small audience too. You just need to be very efficient. And that's what we are.
Yeah. I'm personally looking forward to this project. Good. I will check the website in, 3 years or so.
I'll give you a trial account for 1 week and then you have to pay.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's come in to the next news and to your long-standing partner Porsche. You mentioned there are some developments in these projects. Can you please elaborate on that?
Well, as I mentioned before, at Porsche, one of the key things that we do is we obviously publish the content. So, we're a little bit like a funnel. Lots of things come in and it's managed the middle, but our mandate is also to make sure it goes out the bottom. And the trick about publishing is not just that you have various playout channels to take care of, but you have totally different audiences. And one of the key differences of that audience is language. Very simple. Mm-hmm. And if you're a global brand or if you're somebody addressing a global audience, you have to take care of the multitude of languages. So it's taken a while for us to get Porsche to actually go this step to really fully internationalize the system. But we've done it. We're very happy. And now we're feeding a bunch of playout channels at 6 at the moment in up to 20 different languages.
Wow.
So that's exciting news because we've built it in such a way that we think it's actually very easy to use. Victor, I think you've got a screen of our back end from Porsche where you see the little language bubbles because you're currently showing the front end. That's excellent. But if you could just show the back end slide.
Yeah, the previous slide, should it be?
Let's see if you can find that. Just click through, Victor. I'll tell you which one it is. That's the one. Okay, here what we're looking at the flow center at Porsche. And I'm not quite sure if you can read it, but the thing you see at the bottom, so this is a nice piece of content. The thing you see at the bottom is some of the publishing channels. So there's News TV, Newsroom, there's the rooms. Can't even remember what else is there. Anyway, there's a multitude of Christophorus as well, right? A multitude of channels, and you can see in the little red bubble what we now have is per channel a number of languages. So each channel has maybe a selection of languages. Few have all languages, and in the back end you can now actually simply type in your Russian description for a piece of content, a title, a description. We can add a Russian voiceover if you like. We can add Russian subtitles if you like, and decide that you're going to publish that on the channel Newsroom, let's say. So, Victor, if you'd go back to the website you were just showing, the Newsroom website, because there you'll actually see the effect.
Yeah.
That's the one. So that's what the site looks like if you just join and you go onto the .com. But let's say, because Marina speaks Russian, she's Russian.
I do.
So Victor, make it easier for her and just go pick the language Russian from the website there, if you would. It's at the top, right? You see there's a whole bunch of languages. So the moment Marina hits that and goes to Russian, all of a sudden the entire site appears in Russian.
Yeah.
And all of that is not done in a CMS. None of this comes from a CMS. All of this comes directly from the back end, which is the flow center. Mm-hmm. So this is good news because, monetizing content, which Porsche is for sure is also doing. They want you to look at this and then go off and buy a Porsche. Monetizing content obviously is going to be more efficient if you can address bigger markets, i.e. additional markets, i.e. additional language markets. We've now given Porsche and everybody else the ability to do that in an unlimited number of languages. It's easy to use. We can include AI if you like. We can automate a hell of a lot of the process, and it goes for every single playout channel that you've got. So we're happy with that. It actually technically wasn't that difficult. It was more about getting the customer to understand what the power of language actually means to his viewership, because now he can publish that piece of content in a Russian social media environment because he's already got it in Russian. Mm-hmm. And that's really going to add horsepower to their ability to really go share and publish and push out their content globally. So we're very pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, myself working in marketing can only appreciate this feature because, working with different CRMs, like slow down the time that your working time, but when it's already there and comes from the management system, that's much easier.
You do. That's the point. You do it once in Russian, and then you publish it to 27 channels, which we also have in Russian, which is simply a good business.
Okay, that sounds really impressive. So we'll see. I'll check the website later. What are the Porsche news? Okay, so you also mentioned before that you're working on the app for Porsche. Is it?
Yeah, Porsche is currently building a new app. It's going to be called My Porsche, I believe. I don't know. The interesting thing for us is we see that just as another publishing channel. Whether we publish to a broadcast system, website, VOD platform, or an app, makes no real difference for us. Just the technical attachment is a little different. So the API or the parts of the API that we're using might be different. But the key point is, do we simply package the content accordingly to what the player front end, in that case an app, would like to have as a technical quality, what languages, in what sort of editorial combination would they like to see it, and all of that is in the Flow Center. So as I mentioned before, the Flow Center is a very potent publishing hub, and hence a monetization hub, and including apps as a play-out channel simply makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It saves a lot of time and money to spread your news around the world.
That's the bottom line. We see that a lot with industrial customers, but we also see with broadcasters. They tend to end up having 7 different CMS systems. That's just crazy. That's just nuts, because that means you're paying 7 times and you've got 7 editorial staff looking after the same bit of content just to tweak it a little bit for the individual channels. That's crazy. So we have a totally different approach. Everything goes into one system. It sits there. You prepare in all the languages, and then you can play it out to wherever you like from one system.
Yeah, I would like to be the future of all the management systems for myself. Yeah. Okay, thanks. That was also impressive. And now we are coming to our last news, your last news. We talked about the customers. And are there any other new features in your product that you would like to announce here today?
Yeah, it looks like a small detail, but it actually makes a hell of a difference, as we just realized. What we built for a customer, the process of uploading. Okay, everybody knows that. So let's not talk about how to upload via Signiant or an FTP, etc., etc. Let's talk about upload routes where you have the ability to add a lot of metadata. So everybody's familiar with that. The big problem that everybody has, that you have to decide on a metadata scheme, and then everything needs to fit into that metadata scheme. That sounds fantastic because it means it's all normed and it's clear and it's clean. The big problem is, and I'm sure everybody's come across that, the types of content or the sort of events that generate the content don't necessarily fit into that very rigid form. So you're stuck in a certain sense very quickly saying, well, okay, I've got a motorsport event, and so I need to write team names and drivers and where's the racetrack and what series is it. And the next day, I've got a car presentation. No teams, no drivers, no racetracks, no race series. So I've got a whole different set of metadata. And the next day, I've got a big event, a company event, or I'm launching something new. You'll have totally different metadata being generated as the photographers take pictures, the videographers make videos, etc., etc. So because we've had uploaders in our system for a long time, we've come up with something rather different, which is what we call the upload project. And the idea is quite simple. It actually starts with saying, I'm going to create a project in which I have an upload. And that means that I can select the type of project, for example, a racing project, a car launch project, a driving event project, whatever type of project. And when I create that project, I can really enter a type-specific metadata. So a racing project will have different metadata than a driving event for obvious reasons. And this is true for different types of news stories. This is true for different types of content. Advertising will have totally different metadata than a series, than a film, etc., etc. It really cuts across the entire media space. And the ability to create types of projects allows us to actually enter the metadata, which will be permanent to all the files in the project right at the beginning when you're actually doing the project, and then being able to choose metadata schemes as you need them. So you're not stuck with one rigid scheme. You can actually have as many schemes as you like. And the clever thing is, we deliberately call it an upload project because it combines the upload with a project, meaning in the system, you're not just getting dumped with files, they go into a specific project. That project has an owner, it has specific project metadata. It has a certain review and approve process. That project might then, once everything's been reviewed, approved, might then directly go into publishing, or it might go into broadcast, or it might go into archive, etc., etc. So we've wrapped the whole concept of upload as a larger system into a project. Second, we've created the ability to create types of projects with totally different metadata schemes that you can even create on the fly. So you can totally individualize your metadata scheme. So the metadata that appears in the uploader will be different by the type of project you're running. Mm-hmm. See, and that's actually the clever bit. Now, lots of words, but that's the clever bit. Yeah. You're not stuck with a rigid metadata scheme that you now need to use for every bloody upload that you're doing, because you're going to find it doesn't always fit. So yeah. we've made it dynamic. That's what we like to call it. We made it very dynamic.
Great.
And I have to tell you, the customer, we've had a first test run with it, and the customer was kind of like, okay, I'm not quite sure if I know what I'm doing, but the uploaders need to like it because they're photographers and it needs to be really quick and super easy to use, as easy as Dropbox, except it actually is much more intelligent. Mm-hmm. And the feedback was phenomenal. The photographers, wrote us love letters saying, God, this is so much better than what we did before. And it's so much faster and it's so transparent. So that was a good idea. It was a good move. So if anybody's got an upload topic and he's come to realize, I know how to upload, but now I'm stuck with a rigid system, what do I do? Give us a call. We've got an idea for you.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, it sounds great, and and very much more easier for the people to work with uploading system. Okay, Oliver, thanks for such insightful talks that I heard much new for me. Thanks a lot. Thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, certainly my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time, everybody. And thanks, Marina, for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. It was an interview with Oliver from Flowworks. We were talking about the new features and new customers of them. Flowworks is a manufacturer of media asset management software. Thank you for being with us today, and don't forget to join us next week. From Monday till Wednesday next week, we will be having meetings with you on the platform, so don't hesitate to arrange a meeting with us, get us to know about that, or arrange a demo if you like. And in a week from now, next Thursday and Friday, we will have demo days on Online IBC. With the guided demos. This means that all our partners who presented their news yesterday and today will be doing demos for you and show you the new features. Thank you very much once again, and see you next week.